Yeah, that's a good one, man. Enjoyable day. Happy to help the team and to win today is special, you know.
Every boyhood Arsenal fan, every fan still left in this stadium would dream of doing what you've just done. How special is it? What does it feel like?
Special, man. I'm grateful again, man. That's what I prayed for. I prayed for it today, man, a hat-trick, and I got it today, so I'm grateful to God, man.
Did you have that feeling today? I saw you at the end, I saw you after your hat-trick goal, kind of pointing to the sky. Did you have that sense today that someone had a plan for you, someone was looking down at you?
That was the prayer today. A hat-trick, and God gave it to me, so
delivered.
Again, that's faith, man.
And I know you're all Arsenal, your family, and I believe you're over there by that over and over again sign, so who else is here from the Eze family to enjoy that?
All my family's here, man, again, so it makes it even more special to do it in front of them.
And of course, had the summer worked out differently, you could have had a different shirt on today.
Let's not speak about that.
I thought you might say that. Pick of the goals.
They're all good, man. I don't know. Maybe the second one, man. That was my favourite.
Why?
Just the timing of it. It was just the right time, and yeah, man. Honestly, it's a special. All of them are good for me because I know that I've been working on it, the process to get in those positions. So yeah, it's worked out.
First senior hat trick as well, I think.
Yeah, it is. Again,
two quite a few times. Not a bad time to get the hat trick.
Yeah, special, man. As I said, words can't explain this one today, man.
Well done. Look, you're the player of the match as well. First Arsenal player to score a hat-trick against Tottenham in nearly 50 years. Player of the match. There's a little match ball down there under your foot, so the old mantelpiece is going to be a bit more packed. Well done.
Not bad, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Well done.
The bearer Eze says that he prayed for a hat-trick today and his faith was rewarded, and he talks a lot about how much of a central part of his personality that is. But can he, Les, as someone who knows him as a person as well as a player, can he have that faith in himself as well?
Yeah, listen, I'm hoping so. You know, there's a lot of people that had a lot of faith in Ez, and he's gone on to do what he said. I said at the start of the show, I feel like...
Now, and this is what all of that means with one game left to go in this match week. Wolves still with just 2 points from their opening games, and then it starts to get a bit congested. Leeds stay inside the bottom three. They kicked off today for the first time inside the relegation places, and they end the day there as well with 11 points level with West Ham. Into the top half of the table, where defeat for Tottenham means they are in 9th place. That coupled with Aston Villa's win that sends them into the top 4. There you go, above Crystal Palace. They're just behind Manchester City, Chelsea and now Arsenal, who extend their lead to 6 points at the top of the table. And after 12 games, their goal difference is at plus 18. Also a busy night of NFL to come as well. Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams is waiting to tell us about it with Jason Bell.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And I must be honest, I think in the summer when Arsenal signed him and I had my Liverpool hat on and I looked at the signings Arsenal made, and besides Gyökeres, it felt like a lot of them were to strengthen the squad really. So where Arsenal had problems the year before was when Saka was out, so they bought Madueke. Odergard was out, they got Eze. One of the centre-backs was missing, so they got a couple of centre-backs. It was only really Gyökeres who felt like he was going to go into the team. And if I'm being honest, I think if Havertz was 100% fit, Havertz would probably be the centre-forward in this team, I think. So when Eze came in, I thought, OK, maybe it's not a game-changer. And Les knows him a lot better than me. He still said earlier on the show, there's still more to come. But then we've still seen some of his highlights this season. There were still a few great goals in there, and then he goes and scores a hat-trick. So apologies. I think I've certainly undervalued the importance that signing was, because he looks like he could make the real difference for Arsenal this season and go on and win the title. And apart from the sort of skill in scoring the goals and his overall contribution to the game, the composure, Thierry, was admirable from Eze.
Well, if you looked at Palace before, you would have seen that composure. You know he has that composure. He's calm. The way he speaks is the same way. But what I like with him is the way he, in the game today, he finds a way to be in and around the box, especially on one of the goals. You will see he pulls away from everybody to make sure he can have time to execute, and we all know he can finish. I know he's with us now, but when you look at him at Palace and the way they reposition him under Arteta, suddenly, as a 10, he started to see the game a different way with a guy that can play for him. And obviously today was different because he didn't have a proper 9 with him. But that's why I think it was easier for him to get in the box today, because he didn't have the presence of a 9. He was a 9 at times.
Yeah, there was nobody getting in his way. It was him, and he took the goals so well, Les.
Yeah, he did. The first one we see here just gets himself into the position as he says, Timber does really well here, goes into the gap, crosses it. This is not a great clearance from Danso, but he here shows his foot movement and then strikes the ball lovely.
VAR did have a look at the Arsenal players. There's a few of them offside here, and whether or not they were in Vicario's eye line. I mean, I feel like we should look at every decision individually, but I feel like this would be a bigger talking point if this had been a narrow 1-0 victory.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can't look at this and say they don't impede his eyesight. You look at it here, look. There's no way that doesn't impede his eyesight, but when up in VAR, there's someone else up there and doesn't think it does. I don't see how not.
But if you go back to that goal, is Zubimendi making a run?
Yeah, look.
And your number 10 shooting. Look at them. You have no nines. So that's why all that talk all the time that, yes, you need a 9, like you need a goalkeeper to play football. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have a 9, you can't score. As it's been shown there, is Zubimendi making a run in behind first?
Yeah, and as we saw there, Vicario saying that he couldn't see. He was saying he was unsighted. That made it 2-0 to Arsenal, and then Eze got the second, his second and Arsenal's third.
Yeah, just after half time again, and again very similar. This kept happening a lot through the game where Arsenal had outnumber Spurs on that right side, and they'd play it inside, drag the two central midfield players over the side of the pitch. Bentancur, Palhinha, nowhere to be seen on the edge of the box. And listen, it's a wonderful finish. Of course it is from Eze, but this happened continually in the first half. And this is a problem with the system that they played. The space is always on the outside of the two central midfield players, and I'm sure that's something that Arsenal would have spoken about before the game, and it's worked an absolute treat.
Look at the position again of Eze. At the very beginning, he's your 9, and you know who frees him? The run of Declan Rice. Again, your holding midfielder. If he doesn't make that run, he's intelligent enough to know that he has to go the other way to pull away and then to finish. But he's the 9 at the very beginning. Once again,
his left foot. His right. His first one with his right foot. That with his left foot, and that was equally as good a finish as the first one on his right foot.
He said in his interview with Pat that he prayed for a hat-trick, and that was it. The first hat-trick in a North London derby since December the 23rd, 1978.
That was a lot of prayers, I guess, because since '78, no one has done that before. You have a lot of great guys that have played in that derby. When you think of guys like the late one, Kane, myself, Ian Wright, I can name a lot of strikers. People will be upset and I forgot some, but it's actually number 10. But for me, on the night, look at where he is. That's your 9.
But I think that's a really interesting point. And it comes back to something that you were saying, I think, across the course of last season and even across the summer, Jamie, which is that number 9 wasn't necessarily the answer to Arsenal's problems. It was about creating chances elsewhere on the pitch.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I never felt there was always this thought they needed a goal scorer. Of course, they needed to score more goals, certainly last season, to compete with Liverpool. But Arsenal in general play didn't create enough. That was a problem for them last season. So no matter who your striker is, if you're not creating chances for him, he's not there to finish. But he's made a difference with that. And even this season, when we go back to very early on, if you go back to the game at Anfield, that was almost like the Arsenal of last season. Very strong defensively, but not really looking like scoring, going forward. And I don't know if can't remember exactly. Was Newcastle the next game after that? Or I think Eze came in basically rather than. There's a lot of criticism around Merino playing, I think, at Anfield instead of Eze. Eze comes on late into the game. And then I'm certain Eze plays at Newcastle away. And you just felt like there was a difference. Yeah. And it just feels like his introduction, his sign, which I felt, to be fair, would just be something that would be to sort of back up Odergard. Odegaard's out at the moment. But as you said before, Odegaard's got a real fight.
And you know that I thought differently. I said to myself, first and foremost, he's a 10. And Martin Odegaard will have competition. And when you're at a big club, as it should be, you would have competition. In your time, in my time, if you have an hour. If you don't score, Kanu comes on, Wilton comes on. And at the very beginning, I had to find a space to make sure that I could make myself available and make sure that I could perform for the team. But like I said, for me, he's a 10, and I say it again.
How much in terms of that Arsenal overall performance, and how impressive was it, given that we will come to the opposition that Spurs put up later on in the show?
I like the combination of, and I mean, it's an obvious one, people will say that, but Bukayo Saka and Timber, the way they attack and they defend together, it's second to none. Everything came from the right and ended up going to Eze or to Leandro Trossard. Everything goes there. And the way they do defend also together, the activity. It's like when you see one, you see the other one. Regardless of where they are on the field, that combination is lethal.
With those additions to the Arsenal squad in the summer, it was sort of expected that Leandro Trossard would be playing a sort of slightly reduced role, and yet that's 8 starts in a row for him. And I know there are injuries in that Arsenal squad and players who've been unavailable, but he scored big goals in that time.
He has, and whenever I looked at Arsenal, I always felt left wing was a real weak area for them. Whether it was sort of Martinelli or Trossard, I never quite felt they were at the standard in terms of winning the league. I actually thought Eze may play a lot of football there, one of the reasons why he came in, but he's been absolutely brilliant. And you know what, he's been really good ever since he came to the club. I think he came in January a couple of years ago, and he's always been that type of player. Got your goals. I think Gary mentioned in commentary, I mean, you look at that space again in the middle of the pitch. I think Gary mentioned in commentary that run that Freddie Ljungberg would make. And again, Freddie Ljungberg was the type of player who wasn't someone amazing with the ball, but it was the penetrating runs, it was what he did off the ball. And he basically, I think a few years ago with UTR, he won you the title with so many vital goals.
The 2002.
And he's doing something similar this season.
You'd have liked that ball from Merino though, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's for sure. You know, but we go back to the attacking point of view is outstanding. Merino turning, seeing, Trossard finishing, obviously little deflection. But I mean, if you let a player of that quality like Merino turn around in the stadium and then just pick someone just like that and allow someone to run, that's what you was talking about like how embarrassing the performance of Tottenham was. But you know, I'm not complaining.
So a 4-1 win for Arsenal, hat-trick for Eze, and they go 6 points clear at the top of the table. But we do need to put that into the context of the Tottenham performance. So here's Vicario with Pat.
So Guglielmo, as a Tottenham player, is that a performance that you feel honestly really bad about?
Yeah, very bad night for us. First of all, we have to apologise for the people that support us every day and they travel to expect to watch a fight, because today we didn't fight. As a collective, we didn't fight, and that's not negotiable to compete in a football match, especially at this level. And we didn't do as a team, but. Now is a tough night. Is a very bad defeat, but we have to stick together because we know what we have to address this kind of things. Now we have a big night again on Wednesday. We need to stick together and to believe much more in ourselves, because tonight we didn't show anything that's what we normally are capable of, and so we need to have. Bright brains in this moment. I know the emotions are high, especially when you lose a derby in this way like that, but we need to be cool heads and apologize to people that support us and that travel today, because we cannot put on place a performance like that.
I'm sure at home in the stands Tottenham fans would be asking, this day of all days, why as a group didn't you fight?
I don't know. I don't know which is the answer. Probably many things. I think we waited a little bit too much to get into the game. We were a little bit way too passive, but the game plan we had prepared was a little bit different. Probably, I don't know. We didn't have we didn't recognize some situation to put pressure on them and to fight because today we didn't fight. So we have to apologize first of all for this. But then, like I said, we need to stick together. We have to reflect. We have to analyse this game, move on, because on Wednesday we have another big night.
So do you think it's a performance related to the, like you say, slightly different tactical setup, the 5 at the back, maybe not doing it as often? Or today for you, was it more about character, mentality?
Doesn't change nothing if we play 5 at the back, 4 at the back, 2 at the back. There are not negotiable things in football, like fight. Every day, fight, every duel, try to win, try to put your body and to win some fouls. And I think in that aspect today we didn't play our game. So then you can speak about every tactics, every build-up, every situation. But if you don't put as a collective a performance in terms of aggressiveness and this kind of stuff, it's tough to compete at this level. And today we didn't show it, so we have to apologize for this. Then the tactical stuff hasn't got an impact on this game. For me, it makes no sense to speak about this. It's just about the mentality we have to put in every game, in every single Premier League game.
I just wanted to ask you about one goal in particular, the second goal. Perhaps it's no excuse when you've beaten so heavily by your rivals, but was your view blocked?
I think probably in the way that the game gone couldn't have changed anything, but I think the interpretation sometimes is they say something. I saw the goal is allowed for people be in front of the goalkeeper. There were 3 people in front of me, so of course they impact me. But we didn't lose for that. But it's just the fact, and probably in some situation in the decision they have to be more clear.
Thank you for your honesty.
Thank you.
Well, I know you've already...
That felt like more than 3 points to me. I thought, okay, they get the 3 points and they create a little bit more of a gap. The energy in the stadium afterwards, the way they handled the derby match, the hat trick, I just felt that will pay more dividends for the players inside that dressing room to go on and now push.
And stops a bit of that narrative. No Gabriel, what will Arsenal do? And Capier come in and no problems whatsoever. That's a really important big win for Mikel Arteta and his team.
OK, let's take you back to our commentary team. Graham Lasso and John Champion have just witnessed that celebration. They're out on the field. Chaps, some final reflections from you, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a party for much of the second half, and it was certainly a party atmosphere at the end. And I think overall, a pretty special day for Arsenal.
It really was. It was the perfect performance for them. I mean, you can look at the Richarlison goal and just say that's a special goal. That could be goal of the season. But the context that they were 3-0 down at the time, and Eze, just watching him, is how loose he is on the ball, how he moves from side to side. And even during the interview there post-match, you couldn't see it on the television, but he stood with his foot on the ball, just sort of chatting away and rolling the ball under his foot as he was talking. So he can do 2 things at once, so he can multitask.
Yeah, he can. And my question for you, I mean, we've talked a lot about the players that are missing for Arsenal. They didn't really miss Gyökeres today. Merino did a stout job up top. And more pertinently, they didn't miss Martin Odergard, who's on the brink of being available again. And we've been talking for weeks about how he's a big miss. Well, in fact, is he? Because he probably wouldn't get in the team at the moment.
No, and you know, his form has been in and out. He had an exceptional season, didn't he, a couple of seasons ago, and really ran the show for Arsenal. You know, they're an evolving team. Eze in there, players that Trossard's having more of an impact. So once again, it's about having, I think, a squad of players that can all deliver the highest performance and unlock teams at different parts of a game. They did that early on. They managed to unlock with Trossard and that lovely ball by Merino. But that whole sort of ability just to sort of move pieces in and out when you need them, and have everybody desperate to get back fit, get playing, get on the pitch, and that's just a self-fulfilling sort of energy that you get from training every day. You know, these guys can't wait to go into training Monday. They can't wait for their next game, and when you're on that roll with the quality they've got, you just feel that there's a real momentum that's already there that will just keep going as we get into the busiest time of the season.
Okay, briefly, I've left the most difficult question until last. Can you say anything positive about Spurs?
No, not really. not on that performance. I think the second half was a bit better in terms of the shape of the team. So if I'm in Thomas Frank's position, I've got to think very long and hard about saying, do you know what? This is the system I'm going to back, and I'm going to make the players fit into that system. They're good enough to do it, and certainly a back three with the wing backs needs a lot more work before you can roll it out too regularly.
Absolutely. There you have it then, Rebecca. A thumping derby win for Arsenal, and we do owe a bit of an apology to Lee Dixon, who's been quite upset at some of the references we've made to him in the commentary, sitting in his luxury Californian mansion enjoying that. Apparently he doesn't like to have devilled eggs for breakfast. He had kedgeree and kippers served by his butler.
Glad you made that correction, gentlemen. Thank you very much, and apologies there to Lee Dixon. We are not yet done for the Premier League weekend. Manchester United against Everton is match number 10 of 10. It kicks off tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, live on USA Network from Old Trafford. We're on air at 2. Time now, though, for your Premier League update. 2 games on this Sunday. Leeds against Aston Villa we shall get to. Alongside Tim Howard and Robbie Earle, I'm Rebecca Lowe. But we start with the North London derby. How the story unfolded for Arsenal 6 wins and the 1 draw a couple of years ago in 2023. They are fully dominant in this fixture, especially at home. Let's hear from the Tottenham midfielder. Here's João Palhinha.
João, first defeat in the league away from home under Thomas Frank, but in the North London derby. How gutting was that today?
I think overall we deserve this loss today, definitely. I think Arsenal beat us with credits, of course. We was not on our top. I think we have like 20 minutes after we scored the goal. I think the team looked more confident and we started to create more. I think also suffer a first goal after the half time was really quick, and we need to be more sharp. We need to be much more with the intention that we should be. And at the end, it's always frustrating. First of all, say sorry to our supporters that came here today and watched the game at home, because we wanted to give much more than this loss. But yeah, we need to react, and yeah, we'll do it. We have another important game on Wednesday, and we don't have many time to thinking about what happened today, analyze, of course, and react.
Your manager just called you all in to talk to you. What was his message? What did Thomas Frank say to you?
No, just I want to keep between us. Of course, I think he was is someone that is really special for me. I always told him, and he was trying to push us to keep the head up, basically. So I think we don't lose anything. It's not because we lost today against Arsenal, of course. It's a derby, and we know how important it is, this game, for our supporters. But yeah, I think I don't need to. It's not necessarily many words for myself. Just try to get the win the next games to give to our supporters.
You've beaten Manchester City this season, but Arsenal now 6 points clear at the top, 7 points clear of City. Do you think they're the best in the league, this Arsenal team?
No, I think they have a top team, but I want to focus on Tottenham team, not Arsenal. I think what they will do I let for them, and I just need to focus on my paper on the team, on my work on the team, and with my teammates, and I only care about Tottenham.
Absolutely not going to say that Arsenal are the best team in the league, no matter how much he's pushed. Robbie, talk to us about Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
Because he was lauded as the Brentford manager for being able to sort of adjust his system to who he was playing against. Then he goes and does that today, and he's been doing that as Tottenham manager, and it's now seen as a negative. Is that simply because he's at a bigger club?
Yeah, if you're Spurs manager, but you're playing with a Brentford mentality, it can be a bit of a problem, because what Thomas Frank does is when he plays a big 6 team, he's going to adjust his system and go with the back 3 and make it more defensive. But he's now a manager of a big 6 team. So in some respects, you've got to keep a bit of your identity, a bit of your system of play. Of course, you're going to have tweaks dependent on the threats and skills of the opposition. But in the main, you're going to do the same things week in, week out, home and away. And because I think he's not sure about himself, he's maybe not sure about the group of players, I don't think he trusts them enough to do that. And so the change today, we saw the 3 at the back, and we said at the start, the worry is if they get pinned back as a 5, there's going to be a problem. That happened, and we saw the results.
Do you think he's managing with a Brentford mentality, Tim?
Yeah, it's a brilliant point by Earlster. I mean, if you're a big 6 club, you boss every game like a big 6 club. That's just what the Premier League has always been. And you're allowed to do that at Brentford, kind of understand that we're going to be the underdog. Spurs fans never want to be the underdog. So I think there is an adaptation process that he's going to have to go through as a manager. And I agree with Graham Lasso. There might be a point where it's not there's not a tinker mentality. It's more of let's settle into this and to figure out who we are, and then we can go from there. Because here's the thing about Brentford. He had that team for a long, long time. Like, he built up stock with those players. Those players trusted in him and vice versa. So then he could say, Gaffer, we're going to do what you said. I know we're not used to a back 5, but we're going to go to a back 5 today. And they did the business. But they were together for years and years and years. So that might take some time for him.
Also, is there a case that he needs some patience because he does have a lot of creative players, especially out injured, and goal scorers? Solanke, Maddison, Kulusevski, the list goes on.
This isn't the best version of Tottenham that could be. And so you're right. When we've got all the full array of players there and he's got his full squad, that's really the time to start making judgments. But I think I heard somebody recently on the radio talk about Graham Potter, you know, as great as he did at Brighton, when he went to Chelsea, it was just different and he never quite handled it. Thomas Frank at Brentford, I feel is a bit different. I think he's a great communicator. I think tactically he's smart. I just feel at the moment he just doesn't quite have the trust in the group of players that he's got to go, this is who we are, this is how we're going to play, go out and get it done.
OK, well, let's find out what he has to say. Thomas Frank is now talking in North London.
Oh, Thomas, a really painful day. Was that a performance actually that upset you?
Yeah, I think it's extremely painful. Can't talk away from that. Won't not talk away from that. It was a bad performance. It was the completely opposite what the intention was before we came here today. We can only apologise to the fans for this performance. I think no matter if both the team wanted to play a little bit short, they got more out top on that than we couldn't get out, or they were more stronger in duels and we couldn't get out of those two duels. When the team went long, the duels and second balls, we didn't win enough of those, and you can say it maybe exemplifies perfectly with, I think, a 2-0 goal and a 3-0 goal. I think a player went through 3 or 4 players. So on the day, bad performance and we lost.
So if you were to sort of point at one thing that was lacking, is it actually the character and the fight of the team that you look to?
You can always say that on the day. I don't like that because I've seen a lot of character and a fight in this team. But I think one big thing we didn't do it well enough was winning duels. So we didn't win enough duels. We can call that whatever we want to call it, but we just didn't win enough duels.
So tactically, you went to the 5 at the back, changed it at half time, executed perfectly. How would that have gone?
I think, I tried a player 5-4-1. I will always take responsibility. It's my choice in the end to take a system there. We changed it at half time to 4-3-1. My view on it, no matter what formation we play today, we don't have the duels, the intensity in decisive moments, then it's very difficult to win a football match.
Were you surprised, given that setup? They seem to find a particular way, maybe the first 3 goals, of kind of playing out in and then finding quite a lot of room centrally. When you have so many sort of bodies defensively, how does that happen?
Yeah, I think the goals I'd like to see more in details before I look through it. I think the whole game I need to look through tonight and that'll be a painful watch. I think the main bit was when we defended the duels, we didn't do that well enough. We were not aggressive and stepped forward when we could in the situations, and then they played around us.
I remember you speaking about after the Chelsea game and being really disappointed with the lack of creativity, and I think the Richarlison goal was your first shot. So again, was